I'm a time traveler from the year 2025, and I've come here to kill you, Hitler.
Oh, not again. I'm never gonna have enough time to finish these paintings with all of these time travelers trying to kill me.
Well, I'm going to succeed.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as... well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. And dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm, or is this some kind of toy for kids?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas, too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
No, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party? Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too!
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man who I've ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
Hey, folks, welcome to the broadcast. You know, Babylon Bee, that one bit, you know, which they do. It's their news that's not news, but humorous actual fact of life is dead on. And I've always told you that history repeats itself. So today's program is part two of what we're covering. But I want to let you know, as soon as I finish this broadcast, I am going to hop over to my locals if you're on Rumble, you'll see a red oval that says join. It's JovanHuttonPulitzer.locals.com. You're going to want to join me. I posted a PDF there. Most of you know that we've spent a considerable amount of time having our work for the full forensic audit in Arizona gone through from top to bottom, re-verifying all of our work. And I have to say, I'm just floored at what is coming back. I posted one document there just to help you kind of understand things into context, because I tell you, if you don't understand how the system does it to us, you don't know how to defend against it. And so we're going to talk about that first document that I put there. I also want to let you know, when it comes to the detailing of this final case closed report coming out, it's pretty close to a 500-page document, right? I will basically go over it with you item by item to help you understand what occurred, how many felonies, the whole bit, you know, what laws. It will help improve your education. But I will be doing that exclusively on my locals, period, where we can just go through the details together, etc. Okay, so immediately following this broadcast, that's where I'll be. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I am asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com, because I'm telling you, something's coming regarding our monetary system. I want to let you know, I've kind of always been ahead of the curve. I mean, think about it. How many years ago did I tell you how the United States government was dishing out Social Security numbers to illegals coming across the border? And that's what floods our motor voter and everything. And what, just a few days ago, you get another confirmation of the numbers. Here's the real numbers. I try to stay ahead and tell you folks. So here's what I'd like you to do. Just find out why you need to consider protecting your money with gold and silver. Okay? That's all I'm asking you to do. Protect your money. Educate your brain. You're an adult. You can make your own decision. But I'm telling you, if something happened in your life right now and you wanted to get out of your 401k or IRA or retirement savings account, you need to pull out something. Something happened to your car, insurance didn't pay for it, you had to buy a new one, you want to reach in and get it, they're going to try to ding you 50% penalty. Some people are finding out, as I showed you, when they try to get money out of their retirement accounts, there's a clause in it, a new type of clause they started sticking in. Well, the only way you can is if you quit the company. Yeah, it's kind of a rigged system, folks. So here's what I'm just asking you to do. Will you please just go to jovanlovesgold.com? It's that simple. It's that simple. Put in your information and get the free report. It's that easy. Get the free report. Okay? Download it, and then you make the best decision for you and your family. But remember, many times in history, paper currency has gone away. Gold and silver never has. I just want you to remember that, right? It never has. And so this is going to be part 2. Part 1 was, can psychological warfare make you shun God, make you turn your back on God? We went through it in detail. This is number 2, where we're going to go into a little more deeper dive into what the villains actually put into play to control you. Share this program. This is going to be very enlightening. Share this program right now. We'll get started right after this.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, this is part 2. It's called a social experiment. And this part is what the villains actually put into play to control you, to control every one of us. Let me tell you how this came about for me. Recently, I was sat down and had a conversation with Roseanne. What an incredible woman, right? And the conversation, before we talked about election stuff, etc., we were talking about faith, religion, and all this Jew hate. When that episode aired, I watched just an ungodly amount of trolls come into the program, spreading hate. Then, when that program reran on my programming, I watched the same thing. All kinds of trolls come in. You know, we have a family here. You're part of the family and friends. This is just not Fanville or anything like that at all. We're all in this together. And I kind of watched it happen. And I watched some of the words saying, and I'm going, wow, I recognize what this is, etc. Right? And by the way, if you're ever telling me to bump a troll, tell me who the troll is. Right? It's that simple. It makes it a shortcut for me. And so, because, you know, I'll watch chat, maybe not right at the very beginning, but I'll watch chat and see it. Here it is, right? And so, in today's world, there is a, what should I say? There is a business out of trolling. Is that probably the easiest way to do it? A business out of trolling? And I'll give you an example. People are recognizing this. I mean, one example. You can be online watching content in a show. All of a sudden, somebody comes in, posts something, let's say like this track dot crap. Sometimes people don't think behind it. Oh, click, what's this? And they've got you. But here's the deal. If a company will hire people to randomly spam you when you're trying to learn, what kind of ethics does the company have? Well, see, the answer is zero. But see, you don't relate to that because you're so used to chasing squirrels. And that's a good analogy for what happens in our world today. you're designed to run and chase all over the place, right? You could, you could be watching something about woodworking and these spam, all it is, come out, a track dot for your food. And you never think about the company behind it that will employ nefarious practices just to get it, don't care about you, to do that. And see, that's what's going on in our world. We chase a lot of squirrels. And then we don't understand a lot of the automation behind it. So for me, when I look at everything's going on, my job is to make you the smartest patriot in the room. Not to be a sheeple, not to be a blind zombie follower. Let's face it, folks, we got here and have what we have because predominantly people, Americans, have become blithering zombie idiot followers. That's it. We just believe what we get in little bitty doses, never fact check anything. And so we live at a time in society where anything you could want to know is at your fingertips through the internet. Anything you want to read and study, what people used to have to pay, right, etc., to, should we say, go to a college or university for, and you can actually get the same programs, same stuff, etc., online, absolutely free, take at your pace. So you have a question, do you want it free or do you want to pay $120,000 student debt for it? But they tell you only the one where you got the actual paid certificate is the one that counts. Well, when you really look at that, you realize it's all crap. It's all BS. That's why my program, cut the crap. You want to grab these guys and cut the crap. Culture, race, and American politics. So, in watching all this occur and watching all this troll hate come up, I decided to conduct what's called a social experiment. Setting this up real quick, you can feed in to large artificial intelligence systems and say, I want to find out how this can occur. So I'll give you an example. The thought experiment I conducted is how can you get people to turn away from their ethics, their morals, and lead them astray to basically destroy their own country? That was the simple question I asked. What the system gave back was, well, here's a very simple way to kind of get them all combined together, and that is to destroy people's belief in God. Remember, you get rule of law from God, you get your ethics, your morals, etc. So the system, artificial intelligence, thinking about it, go, well, okay, just work on cleaving people from God. Then on the other end of the experiment, I said, okay, I want to understand the mechanisms that do this. So you kind of have to put in two cast players. We need a Dr. Evil, right? And we need a hero, because everything works in that duality. The evil's going to do this, and the hero fighting it has to do this, because you have to juxtapose those together. And so in part one, I dove in for you what the system says, the kind of hero that can pull something, or excuse me, the kind of evil that can pull something like this off, that could actually get people to begin to cleave from their ethics or their morals. And it's all rooted with separating you from God. Now, as I read that, if you were like me, I was like, holy smokes. Hey, Stacy over on YouTube. How you doing? Thanks for being here. I was like, holy smokes. This stuff's happened. I mean, you got to understand, it's artificial intelligence looking at everything out there, analyzing all data, giving me a plan, and I'm going, wow. Look at this. Now, this is not about trusting AI. If you think it's about trusting AI, you're missing the point. It's about the fact that AI is a vast computer system, can look at everything going on, every piece of research out there, true history, true reports, can analyze it and bring it back to you in a split second. So on that standpoint, understanding patterns, understanding what it takes, you better believe AI is going to give you an answer. So it said that and this evil person is probably going to come through you in the disguise of a patriot television network. Now, I was like floored. Oh my God. And it started going through that. And as we started going through that, it became more and more and more evident to me. Wow, we are exactly in the middle of this. Now, what kind of clinched it, when it gave me the formula for the mechanism that will make people turn away from God, turn away from their faith, their ethics, or whatever, when it kind of gave me that formula, the mechanism that AI said was, what's going to be weaponized is the Jews. No, I'm going, because this is part of a discussion I've had with Mel K, or I've had with Roseanne and others. And I started warning 4 years ago, something's coming. This anti-Semitic rhetoric's coming up. And then you see this stuff happening October 7th. But people see Israel as the offender. And now we have all this marching in the streets with actual terrorists. So we've been living this. So now I'm going into part 2. And part 2 is digging down into what the villains actually put into play. So we're going to kind of go over them one by one. This is what the system says. I asked the system for the formula. I need the formula. I want to understand how this works, as if it was a plot, right? Etc. And you're right. We're here. Unfortunately, when you hear these things or see it, we're here. So here's what it is. It basically explains what the villain actually puts into play. That you must think of his plan as a machine with several components. Now, that was an eye-opening bit for me, because sometimes you just think it's about an individual. And it can range from a troll to an antichrist to a Hillary to you name it. We tend to think of it as individuals. But what it actually is a very tightly run machine. It relies on many elements to make it work. And so I started digging into, okay, I want to understand this machine. Explain to me what the machine puts into play. Now, the banner, the number one banner, it said, if this was going to be pulled off, that if you're going to make people cleave away from ethics and morals, etc., that more than likely the number one tool that is going to do it is a news site, streaming channel, social media platform that's going to be branded as independent and for the people. Now, this was really eye-opening for me. Look, we all distrust the media, but think about everything we distrust now. The legal system, healthcare, doctors, pharmacies, everything. We just kind of distrust it all. We tend to think of the George Soros type people, right? The Hillary Clinton type people. But AI, when it looks at the numbers and it looks at the information, it says it's going to come basically wrapped in, oh, we're going to give you the truth and we're going to be for the people. Now, why is that? Because we've all learned we can't trust the mass media. Now, I told people I suspected years ago that something like this was happening, because think about it. When the system was going through all of the suppression, like I'm only recently back on YouTube after all these years. When the system was going through the suppression, you saw a lot of media companies spring up, a lot of new apps, a lot of new social media services. Great, that's entrepreneurial. But it came with a lot of them, get off Twitter, get off Facebook, get rid of all that, and come to our platform where Patriots Unite, etc. And well, I can tell you on one of these sites, it's the most evil rhetoric I've ever seen, especially anti-Semitic. It's horrible, and it's supposed to be a patriot site. So I know these things occur, but I told you, in the real world as warriors trying to save our country, because we're trying to keep our country from going down, we're getting clobbered, right? We're getting clobbered. And the way we're getting clobbered is we're cleaving ourselves. And here's what I mean. Back then, even though you were inclined to get off Facebook because they're censoring, look, I got banned a couple of times. I just lost, 90,000 people following me there as it got hijacked. I can't get it back. But you got to stay in the system and fight, all of us together. If you go over to, I always use this joke, I'm a patriot site, more of a patriot than you.com. And you go over there and you're only kind of talking in an echo chamber and you stopped all the other stuff. Well, the other side of the coin of that is you probably took yourself off 5 platforms to sit on one. In other words, you did a job for the system. See, they suppressed you to get you frustrated, and they did. You said, screw it, I'm leaving, I'm going over here. Think about how many people got recommended that action, and you took yourself out of the system thinking you'd make a dent. Well, when it talks about this, it says the mechanism that's going to do it is it's going to be one of these independent platforms that says they're for the people. Now it says, I asked about the tools. Okay, what are the tools that are going to be used if people go to these other platforms, right? What are the tools that are going to be used to capture people? And look at what it said here. Look at this. It says one of the things they're going to use is this angle that they're going to look like investigative journalism. I'll give you a prime example. There's somebody out there that was complaining on one of these Patriot, we're going to tell it to you frankly, and you're going to get just the news, only the news. But what they do is they only have on what they believe, and they won't deal with real truth. They deal with a lot of the system stuff of what the system tells people to do. And lo and behold, right, it looks just like a news network. And it has quote unquote journalists. And that one of the journalists was saying, well, I should be on all these other shows talking about what I know about election stuff. A reporter, a journalist. Never done it. Never done anything to act. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And what you think is a gemstone, like an emerald, all of a sudden, it's like, what is that? It's junk. Well, it says the mechanism that's going to be used is it's going to pose as an investigative journalism, and they're going to have all kinds of whistleblowers and declassified files. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you noticed how many whistleblowers have come forward lately? Put it in chat. Have you happened to notice how many whistleblowers have come forward lately? It's like everybody's got their own former FBI, CIA whistleblower. Now, let me just ask you a logical question. If in fact somebody was in the CIA and their job was to overthrow countries, and I know where all the skeletons are, I know how the rat bastards do it, but all of a sudden they're on social media saying, I'm going to tell you the stuff they don't want you to know. Now, let me ask you a question. What's wrong with that theory? Just a question. What's wrong with that theory? I was with the FBI for 25 years, and I'm going to tell you really what they do. And they're going on a news tour telling you it, right? Does that make sense to you? Even if we just use that marker, okay, yeah, you were in the FBI for 20 years and it was all of the Obama and Bush era, and now you're going to tell us how they all do it. The question is, do you believe that? I just want to know, do you believe that? You got to ask the other question, why now? Why, as we're getting ready to roll into, we're in the year of the midterm. Do you believe that? Yes or no? Do you believe that? See, I have a hard time believing it. Somebody asked on YouTube, what about Flynn and his tour? Well, let me ask you a question. Was that a themed tour? Was it the machines are bad tour? Or was it the Jews are evil tour? Or was it wake up, here's medical leaders, here's church leaders, decide for yourself? See, that's the difference. Okay, so let's say somebody was in the CIA and their job was to kill people behind the scenes. And by the way, Flynn talks about fighting locally. Huge difference, but we'll cover that in another one. Valid point for asking it. But I worked clandestinely in the CIA to overthrow Gaddafi. And we laundered money and cocaine and killed people and murdered presidents and stuff in foreign countries. But I'm out now, and I'm going to tell you how it works. Question. Do you actually believe that? Here's what I think. Once you're in agency, you're always in agency. If you were really disclosing something earth-shaking of how the country was controlled, you really wouldn't be on a speaking tour on all kinds of programs. Yeah, right. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Now, I just want you to think about that one thing. Let me ask you another question. For everything that happened in 2020, you saw our elections go bad. It took both parties, and it probably took the CIA, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, etc. So now there's a whistleblower, and I've told you about this before. I have a friend who was the whistleblower on Comey before all the Comey stuff happened. She did what was right and blew the whistle. They ran her ass out. She can't even keep a regular job because as soon as they find out where she's working, they make it go away. So here's the question. Are there really FBI and CIA whistleblowers? Just a question. CIA can't confirm or deny any operative or agent. So how do you confirm somebody was in the CIA to begin with? So how do you know a CIA whistleblower is really a CIA person or a whistleblower? They see, it's all distractions. Now, what I find interesting is this is about all these whistleblowers all of a sudden coming out. And they do it in conjunction with what's called influencers and talking heads. It's got to have some true believers in what you're fighting for. It's got to have some paid shills, and it's got to have some that are just chasing clout and views. So again, when you look at these tools, because remember, I just asked the system, what are the tools for this? And you're right, Dennis says right. Have you ever seen the CIA budget hearing meetings? It's kind of like Stevie Wonder's piano. He hasn't seen that either. No, you haven't seen them. So do you think it's a coincidence that we're going to head into midterms and all of a sudden there's a bunch of CIA and FBI whistleblowers that are going to tell you how it worked in Venezuela? Oh, do you like that joke? Did you see Stevie Wonder's new piano? No. Well, neither is he. The only one that's better, which is really true, it's just amazing. Have you seen Caitlyn Jenner's new little cat that she adopted? Have you seen Caitlyn Jenner's new cat? It's a dog. Anyway, so I want you to connect these dots because I am talking to basically every computer on the planet saying, I want to understand how this works, and says it's going to come in the guise of a network that's going to be for patriots. It's going to swear it's telling you the truth, but it must use whistleblowers. And man, look how much whistleblower stuff we've been caught under. And the mix is the following. Influencers and talking heads. You've got to have in the mix, you've got to have some true believers. You've got to have some paid shills. And you have to have some just chasing views and clout. Well, I never really thought about it until I did some deeper digging. But I'll give you an example. Now, this is only about being paid what to say, not whether somebody's a shill, not whether somebody's bad or whatever. But we know that drop boxes and mail-in ballots are really what decide our election. I can prove it to you empirically. The GOP came out, said, you got to bank your ballot, which basically means early vote, mail-in vote, and drop boxes. Get it in early. Well, you had Scott Pressler running around. You know, he cleaned up cities. He did this. He picked up trash. He did this. He got people registered to vote. But at the end of the day, you find out that he may have been paid millions to say, bank your ballot. Now, I got to ask you a question. It's not that that's illegal, but they even disclose it on infomercials that this is a paid advertisement, right? But something as critical as our election, and we find out underneath it, people are being paid millions to deliver a specific message. Now, the question is, if you are a reporter or a journalist or whatever, messaging is messaging because it's truth, not because somebody paid you to say it. Like I get a lot of people that want to be on my program, want to be interviewed. If it's in a space I don't agree with, I skip on the interview. If it's mildly interesting, maybe like a book, I say, send me the book first and I'll read it. Then we'll decide. It's about standards. And so I'm really concerned that the system tells me the way you're actually going to make people cleave away, the way you're going to get people to walk away from their ethics and morals is it's going to come in the guise of a network. Well, in this network, basically the way they say this works, and you know this already to be, but I'm just telling you, take a look. It basically says the operation, the machine that works is basically a propaganda mill. It selectively quotes real sources. It manufactures graphs out of context. And then what it does is it takes those things and they do micro targeting, like memes or whatever. But a good example is, look how much you're seeing. Look at your city council. Look at all the Jews, or look inside the company. Look at the Jews. All of a sudden, when you jump over to some of that stuff, do you ever step back and look at, okay, you saw somebody post something, the evil Jews run the banks. You took a look. But did you take a secondary look? And most people don't. Did you take a secondary look? And we had this happen, I guess, the other day. Somebody was coming into part one, all this Jew crap. I went and looked at their profile. And at their profile, everything's posted in sequence of how all of these memes came out about it's the Jews. All of the same rhetoric and stuff. And see, that's what the system does. It gets them to come in and cross-confirm, okay? Gets them to cross-confirm. You look at people reacting to it or likes or whatever, and what it's designed to do is to get you in deeper content. I'll give you an example. It is why I don't allow links in my Anchor broadcast. See, I don't know what's behind that link, and I'm here to serve you, to try to help you be the smartest patriot in the room by bringing you great information. They can hook you with a link. Well, I can prove they're a Satanist. See here. All they do is get you to another place that floods you. That's the thing. That's why I am so against chasing the squirrels. Don't chase the squirrel. That's the bait. Now, maybe some of you will finally realize why I'm so strict about cross-posting links in my work. It is an attack measure. Well, the system says in this, that's the funneling. And the idea is to get you funneled, right? To get you funneled into more radicalized content. So that's how they're going to trap you. Again, this is AI, right? Laying out a plan for me of how to get people to walk away from God, lose your morals, lose your ethics. The next thing it said is what all of this will do is it will map the rhetoric to what people are already disillusioned with. Yes, now think about this. It will map the rhetoric to what people are already disillusioned with. You know, when you feel things like the government's out of control, the economy's out of control, culture wars or whatever, and they give you a target to hit. That's the hot swap. Now, it's interesting that AI basically said for this to work, you got to isolate a minority. You got to blame it on the minority. And then you've got to push it and get people to pile on. And damned if the system, the minority had offered up the Jews. And it's all because of them. Now, I'm sitting here trying to understand how all of this stuff is done. Because I believe they're trying to cleave us away from God. And you'll see why in a minute. And damned if something I've been pointing out, this is what the system says. You got to give them somebody to hate. People naturally look for a simple enemy. See, I've told you this. And I don't know if you paid attention to that. I was dead on. I told you, don't worry about George Soros. It's bullshit. In fact, he's a player and he gets paid to be the personification of evil. That's how he makes his money. He's let on the little secrets. They throw things his way, influence parties and whatever. What'd you find with Doge and USAID? It is, in fact, our money that was funding Soros. Everybody says chase the funders. Yeah, it was us through USAID. And so here it is, the same thing. The system knows that people need somebody that they can identify as the simple enemy. So we're going to go through these steps. And here's the next thing. It all works in echo chambers and algorithms. Now, this is AI telling me how a rogue system is going to do it. And it says it is going to promote it with echo chambers and algorithm. It's all going to be aligned. They're going to look like they're aligned with the same vision, but then they're going to nudge you different ways. Because, and you see that last line, faith itself is a tool of that control. When somebody can convince you, now this is kind of ringing true for a lot of you, somebody keeps on hammering you, I'm a Christian, and start with prayer, wear their crosses outside their shirt and doing it. Your mind won't question that, because questioning that is kind of like questioning your own faith. And the system knows that faith itself is a tool of control. And by the way, somebody asked the logical thing, well, get AI to tell us how to combat it. Yeah, and I did that. Remember, I'm only telling you about the evil. I told you about the hero in the story undoing it. We're going to get there, but I can't give it to you all in one dose. And so as we go through this, they also create offline echo chambers. Now, it said, in order to make this stick and really, really stick and work, not just be rhetoric, you've got to create an offline version of it. Look at what it said. You've got to create offline ecosystems, not purely digital. And you've got to create conferences like Question Everything. You've got to create local patriot or truth clubs. A good example is this stuff you're seeing out there by the Gophers Army, Gophers, whatever army. Their quotes are, we are being held hostage as a country and as a people and as an entire generation by a small minority that doesn't even share our values. Now, I'm giving you a real-time quote. That's a real-time quote. I'm going to show you a few more. That's a real-time quote from an influencer. His name's Nick Fuentes. A lot of the trolls that come in are his gophers, or whatever. I'm probably saying it wrong. And I'm just asking AI. And AI actually says they've got to create ecosystems that are physical. And holy smokes, this guy has conferences. Here is a quote from his work and conference. We are being held hostage as a country and as a people and as an entire generation. He's appealing to younger people by a small minority that doesn't even share our values. And I'm going, holy smokes, this is happening. But let me tell you something I didn't account for. See, remember, this is about getting you to cleave from God, getting you to cleave from your ethics and your morals, which you swear you will never do. The psychological hook is if they can get you to physical conferences to identify like the Groifers or the, how do you say that, Groifer? What happens is in doing these conferences and doing these meetups and starting these local clubs, that once they can get a hold of your offline friendships and you're invested in the same worldview, you won't back down because it will mean you lose your social world. I went, holy shit. Now that makes a lot of sense. If they can get you to that local group, local thing, right? Their conferences, they had a lot of conferences. I don't remember. I could be wrong. Unite America or America United or whatever. But what they're really doing is if they can hook you into that element and tie you into that theme, what it does is it becomes a different connect for you. Because if you cut those people off, your system kind of rebels because now you're cutting off your social system, your friendships. And that's why they work those ways into relationships. Now, with that one, I went, holy smokes. I now understand how that works. Because remember, this part too is what the villains actually put into play to control you. And then it went to this. It basically says to make this happen, remember, it's AI giving me the formula. You got to insist that the institutional church, corporation, government, and banks is a control tool of the supposed secret cabal of Jews. Now, let me ask you a question. AI unprompted gave me the minority. Here's where you do it. It's the Jews. Now, I just got a question for you. Have you ever heard that the church, the corporation, government, and or banks is a control tool of the supposed secret cabal of Jews? Have you heard anything like that? Put it in chat. Have you heard anything like that? Have you seen posts like that anywhere suggesting that it's a secret cabal of the Jews? Well, by the way, that's everywhere. I'm asking artificial intelligence to run a drill for me, to run a social experiment, and it's given me the formula and nonstop online. Nonstop online, it's talking about it's cabals of Jews. Now, it says the real aim is not to convert people to another faith. That has nothing to do with it. But it's to detach them from any source of moral community that might resist them. Now, I want you to pay attention to this one, because this is what really stuck. Last line, the real aim by doing that minority and saying it's the Jews, look at the last line, to detach them from any source of moral community that might resist them. Now, I'm going to hold that one there. We're going to keep on going, okay? Here's how it unfolds. It says to make this unfold, what you have to do is you have to take this Jews run the government and the media conspiracies. By the way, those are all fully formed right now. And you're probably starting to see terms. Now, this was offered by AI, but you're probably starting to see terms like Zionist occupied government, New World Order, Jew World Order. I know you've probably seen that one. The Great Replacement Theory. Say it's elites. They're Jewish. And they're intentionally replacing white Christians with immigrants. I'm going, holy smokes. And by the way, this same Nick Goifer or whatever it is, in Charlottesville, here's what they were chanting in that particular gathering. Jews will not replace us. Now, let me ask you a question, because I see this all the time. Are you realizing a bad government's trying to replace us all with illegals so they can control the system? You know it's happening. But they're hot swapping, saying it's a Jew world order. Now, this is what's creeping up. Now, remember, I'm going back to one line. I just want you to remember this one as I close up on it. They need to detach people from any source of moral community that might resist them. This Jewish stuff's out there. You're seeing it more than ever. Zion, 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 Zionist. So get ready. What the goal is to create a permanent internal enemy. In order for all of this to work, in order to cleave us from God, to cleave us from Christianity, to cleave us from moral and ethics, to cleave us from the 10 Commandments, it has to be done, but you've got to create a permanent internal enemy. Here's where it's going to heat up. The way this works is they stir up a conspiracy. Then it begins to get flooded with anti-Semitic memes. They explode online. Then the threats surge up, and the trust in institutions drop another notch. Let me tell you what's kind of happened here. You know that the pandemic was BS, and it was to control us. But now you're being sold the pandemic was created by the Jews. You know that our elections went bad in 2020. But now you're being sold the Jews rigged the elections. You know that illegals flooded our borders. You know that the system did that so they could stay into power. But you're being told it was designed by the Jews to bring America down. You know that pedophilia and trafficking's horrid and rampant. But now you're being told it's the Jews that run the pedophilia racket. See, this is how they create a permanent internal enemy. Now, what happens is when those conspiracies go across the board, it drops everyone's, even if you don't believe this stuff, trust in institutions, it drops one more notch. And here's what happens. This is the key. Basically, the system, now this is AI telling me if you want to cleave people away from their morals, their ethics, their governments, or whatever, it's laying out the plan. This is how it has to be done. I'm asking it for the formula it would execute. It basically says that if you attack the Jews, you actually kind of get what's called a 3-in-1. It's the only way that does it. You get a 3-for-1 weapon. Here's how it works. It attacks the root of Christianity, which most people, and this is what I was talking to Roseanne about, which most people sometimes forget is built upon Israel and Jewish scripture. It attacks America's pluralistic law-based system, why we have courts, why we do certain things, why we have rules, why we have laws. It attacks that as well because it uses hate to corrode trust and to push towards violence. And it exploits real modern weaknesses. And this is why you're seeing all of this rise up in social media more than you've ever seen before. Because what they're doing is they are consolidating to create a permanent, eternal, internal enemy. It kind of breaks down like this, and you've got to understand, why do they need, and why are you seeing so much? It creates a permanent internal enemy. You have, like Muslims coming into these countries, you will convert or you will be killed. You know it, I know it. You're an infidel, you're going to kill you. But people aren't paying attention to that because everything else is the Jews. It's the Jews. When the one person standing on the street next to you that's Muslim would rather just cut off your head. You see how they do this? And what the system's doing right now, they're giving you a permanent internal enemy. Now, we know where this goes. I've always told you, if you don't know history, we're screwed. I've always shown you all of this. I'll give you back the facts of history. Here it is. They already have a proven model that works. In order to take over all economics, right? And to all literally get people blinded, the historical proof is brutally clear. It was what was used in Nazi Germany. And what did they do? They started suppressing talk, suppressing speech, took over the radio and stuff, told you, well, we're patriots, you got to do this, and everything, give you that one internal enemy, the Jews, and basically said the Jews did it all. The Jews did it all. They're everything that's wrong in society. And by doing this, what happens is it brings these people into power. And then what they do is they dismantle any normal institution. They normalize discrimination, meaning it's okay, then violence, then genocide. It's like what's going on with Antifa right now. And you interview somebody and say, well, that's murder. Well, that might not be murder. It really depends on what happened. This is how it works. In its final makeup, here's how it makes you cleave. If they use Jews, remember it's the 3-for-1. If you use Jews as the fuse to blow up both church and country, and this is going on right now, it makes Christians hate Jews, and the church begins to rot from the inside. It makes America break its promise to protect them, right? And then the actual Constitution becomes a joke. And once you can do that, and we are very close to this, you do not need to conquer a nation because it will tear itself apart for you. Now, you can imagine how when I'm asking AI to lay all this out and I'm blown away with it's working and we're living this now. I'm going, holy smokes. We're here. And all this is a thought experiment. I've got 2 more pieces that I'm going to deliver to you. I got to deliver a little bit more on current events that you can confirm where this is happening. And then I'm going to teach you how to fight back. Because just like I got the formula for how they do it, I also have the formula for how you fight back. I want to remind you, I'm headed to locals next. I'm going to talk about a very important download I gave you there on locals. All of this stuff that's coming about, the full forensic audit, everything else, and the cross-confirmation, right? It's going to totally disrupt the system. There's no way around it now with the confirming of all the numbers. So we're going to talk about this because I gave you one document. Some people pushed back on me, which is great, and now we can discuss it. So join me over at Locals Next, where, folks, we're going to dissect that and we're going to dive deep. I'll see you over there. Watch for the link in chat popping up in a moment.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, Then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
We've got all the right in the world on our side, and there ain't no reason to be afraid, and there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on, because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Quezon, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive people. Not only survive, but will thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us, for all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness,